What's going on, guys? So I have a pretty bad diff leak, if you can't tell. And I was gonna go with the Ford racing cover, but I'm gonna start by just getting this diff out and seeing if I could just reseal it for now and then maybe do the Ford racing cover in the future when I do the full tilt boogie racing kit. But so for today, we're just gonna have to get that diff out and reseal it. So this is gonna be a bit of a process, but as you can see, I got the car jacked up. I have subframe connectors, so I went ahead and jacked from the subframe connectors, and then I placed my jack stands on the subframe connectors real far back, close to the torque box. So after that, you're gonna wanna get your wheels off. I've already gone ahead and done that. And then after that, you're gonna wanna go ahead and pop off the exhaust. I'm gonna go all the way up there by the H-pipe, and I'm gonna take them off from over there where they connect. And then I'll get back to you guys from there and explain the next steps. All right, guys, I'm sorry if this isn't the best view, but so there's the front of the car. There's the trans. We're gonna follow the drive shaft back here to where it meets the diff. And we're gonna take these bolts right here off. This is a 12.12 millimeter bolt. So go ahead and grab a 12.12 millimeter socket and remove these bolts. There's 4 of them. Before you do that, make some kind of marking. So I had a gold paint pen. I had a white one, but I couldn't find it, so I just used the gold one. It doesn't really matter as long as you can see it. You can use a screwdriver and scratch it in. Just make some kind of mark so you match your drive shaft back up exactly where it was. So right now the car's in gear. I'm gonna pop these 3 off. I'll rotate it after I take it out of gear, and then I'll pop the 4th one off, and then I'll take this whole drive shaft off and just hang it off to the side. So let me get a minute to just get prepared for that, and then I'll show you how that's done. So there's the drive shaft with every single bolt removed. Like I said, there are 12.12 millimeter sockets that you'll need. I had to use a wrench and a pipe to break it loose. Just get some PB Blaster, some WD-40 on there, leave it on for a few hours, and hopefully it should break loose pretty easily. And I've gone ahead and zip tied the drive shaft up through these brackets on both sides so it doesn't fall. You can grab a pry bar or, a fairly large flathead screwdriver and a hammer. Position that pry bar or screwdriver right there and just hit it with the hammer a couple times, and you should pop that right out. I went ahead and put the zip tie on first so this doesn't fall and hurt me. You could take it out, and then you can actually pull your whole drive shaft out if you want to at that point, but I'm just going to leave it in and zip tie it up like I did. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to put like I said, put the screwdriver there, or the pry bar if you got, hit it with a hammer, knock it off. And then as you saw earlier, I made the marking, so I lined them up on the same side again. And there's that. So after I get that out, we're gonna get to a couple other parts. I'll show you that when I get there. So let me go ahead and get this out first. Now that the drive shaft is disconnected, you're gonna go for the ABS sensors, which if you see where the axles come in, right there, you got the ABS sensor on both sides. It's a T45 Torx bit. You're just gonna wanna get some extensions on there and just break it loose and just get it on out of there. Let me go ahead and get those off. I'll show you what we're going to do next. Here's where the outer tie rod connects. We're going to go all the way across to the inner tie rod. Let me just move around here. It connects right over there. Let me see if I can get you a better shot. There we go, on both sides. It's a 13 millimeter on the bottom, a 15 on the top, and then there's a spacer on the top right here on the inside. So when you take this bolt and nut out and remove the tie rod, let it be free, put that spacer back and just put the nut and bolt back through. So that way everything stays the way it's supposed to be. Do that on both sides. That'll allow the tie rod to be free. We will unbolt the upper and lower control arm. I'll show you that momentarily. And then that'll allow us to remove the axle half shafts from here and slide freely. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the tie rods first, and then I will show you removing the control arm bolts and popping out the axle half shafts. And then, yeah, so let me go ahead and get this out. Again, it's a 13 on bottom, 15 on top. Let me get this done, and then I'll show you with the control arms. All right, so I don't know if you can see that, but the tie rod is free. We're going to go ahead and remove this upper control arm bolt. It's 18 on both sides. And then there's a lower one as well, right down here. Can't really get it focused on that. Right there. It's on both sides, 18 as well. So you can go ahead and take that out, take the bottom one out, and then I like to just go ahead and put the bolts right back through where I took them out so I remember where they came out from. And then for all of you guys running wider wheels, be jealous. Non-ground down factory subframe bolt. I'm just running spacers because they're good enough, but who knows? Maybe I'm jealous of you guys with the wheels. Let's go ahead and get these out, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next from there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and zap these off, and it would probably be a good idea to just mark right there somewhere so that way you can remember the positioning of this, because unless you're going to go and get an alignment, this will help you get everything kind of back pretty close to where it was. I'm probably going to get an alignment afterwards anyways, but I went ahead and marked there anyways. It's only on the top one right here. Real simple. Now I'm going to go ahead and zap these off. So let me go ahead and do that. So you're going to want an 18mm socket on both sides. However, if you are using any type of power tools, you should be able to just zap the bolt right off. Almost had it, but it's alright. Just go ahead and put that right there. That's off. And you see what I mean? Because if this goes on differently, now your alignment is thrown off. So you want it right there when you put it back. Let's go ahead and remove that. Give it a little jiggle, pull that out. Pull that out of the way. Put this back through and just put the nut on so you remember where it goes. And then there's one on the bottom as well, right about here. It's the same size. Go ahead and do the same exact thing. This one's going to be a little harder to take out since there's some pressure on it. Just wiggle this around and pull it out to the best of your ability. If you got to use the jack, use the jack. Once you get it out, just move things around, go ahead and put it back through just like you did the top one. And then there's that. So let me go ahead and get these things kind of out of the way, and I will show you what we're doing next after that. So we're under the diff. What you're going to do here is take a flathead, shove it up in there, or a pry bar, and just kind of give it a push. It's not necessarily that easy with, flathead, but if you have a nice sized pry bar, it works really well. But believe me, the flathead works too if that's all you got. I don't know where my pry bar is, but just to show you, this side's already out. Be ready for a little bit of fluid to come out of there. I've gone ahead and supported the rotor with a jack stand. It is kind of a pain in the ass to wiggle the axle out. Like once you slide it out and then you push it out, you got to mess around with things over there, and it just use a lot of pressure. Put your hands here and just push on it. It's kind of like, twist it. The axle's meant to twist, and then just kind of move it out of the way. Once you're done doing that, we'll be coming up here to the rear. So you're going towards the back of the car, and you're going to want to break these loose. If you have an aftermarket brace or anything, you might have a different setup, but you're going to want to break these loose. I'll find out what size socket you'll need, and I'll let you know about that. Once we get those loose, it'd probably be a good idea to support the diff with a jack, because then we're going to remove the diff support right over here, going closer to the front, back by the drive shaft. As you can see, I don't have the damper. I removed it with my exhaust. It doesn't fit. So we're going to remove these. You're going to have to hold it from the top as well, around there. There will be some washers. Just remember the orientation. and then you'll want to follow that up and remove that. There's a through here as well. There's one right there. And then this you'll have to remove. At that point, everything's gonna be free and loose, and it's gonna want to come down. But let me just go ahead and get the other axle out, and then break these loose so I can tell you what size socket you need, and then I'll explain the process forward from there. So making this video and doing the work obviously isn't the easiest thing to do when you got to use one hand for the phone and one hand for the video, but so I went ahead and checked. It's a 15 on the bottom, and the top one is an 18. And then coming up over here to the back, these are 15s, unless you got some type of aftermarket brace. So these are 15s, you're gonna want to break them loose, just get them out a little bit. And then I went ahead and removed this one just to check for you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get my jack and put it right here, just to make sure this diff doesn't fall on me. And I'm gonna go ahead and get this one out. After I get this one out and the top one, we still need to work at these right here. So I will find out what those are, because they are massive. Massive is what they are. Once I get that all out, this bar is just going to kind of have to push up in there and come out. I mean, at that point, this diff is going to be completely free. So I will get back to you guys once I have lowered it, and then I will tell you what these were. So there is the front torque brace for the diff. And I said I'd get back to you on the size of the bolt and the nut to remove them. To get on the nut, you're going to need a wrench that is a 15/16, and you're going to want a 21mm socket to get on the bolt, and just go ahead and rip that out. So after taking out all the other bolts I said I would, the ones for the rear diff brace that bolt in right here, I took those out completely, and then I went ahead and supported the diff, and then I took out these guys completely, and see these washers, keep them as they sit in the orientation that they're in. I took those out completely after supporting it, and then I ripped those out, and then the diff was completely ready to fall free. I lowered it a tad bit on the jack, and then just kind of wiggled that piece out. If you have like a transmission jack, or a better, something with a little bit more platform, it'll make the job a heck of a lot easier. You can see I used a little brick paver, and then maybe even like ratchet strap the diff down to it, so so these things are heavy, you don't want them to fall on you. And then so once that came out, I lowered it, everything's out, here I am, real nice and simple. So again, the bolt was a 21mm, and the nut that holds it in was a 15/16. So now that I got this diff out, I'm going to go ahead and open it up, clean it, reseal it, let the RTV settle for about 24 hours, put it back up, fill it, put everything back together in the reverse order, and that is it. I might make a separate video on how to put the diff back in. I may even make a separate video on, kind of opening it, cleaning it, resealing it, and whatnot. Not sure yet, but keep your eyes peeled for those. And if I decide to, I will link them in the description of this video. Hopefully this was pretty explanatory. You can also check out Danny Johnson's video on how to remove the rear diff on these cars. I know he's got a couple aftermarket parts on there, like he's got a rear diff brace, so a couple bolts are a little different. Otherwise, it's the same exact process. He's very thorough about things. I try to be as thorough as I can, but again, I just wanted to make sure to put out another video out there. I hope I got the best angles and everything possible and explained it the best I can. If there's any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I will do my best to get back to you. Other than that, don't forget to like. Peace.